How's it, punters? Welcome back to the Best Sports Betting Podcast. And we've got some exciting news. We're going to be doing a huge giveaway tomorrow during our jackpot race live stream. We're going to give away over 10,000 Rand of prizes. We've got 5 grand in Hollywood Bets vouchers to give away. We've got 2 Samsung A12 phones. I've got 500 Rand in one for you vouchers to drop. Hollywood Bets hamper, lots of good stuff. So if you guys are interested in winning some of those, tune into our live stream tomorrow night. It's going to be starting just before 8:30. It's going to run until about 10:30. And we're going to give away all of those prizes during the stream. You have to join into the stream to enter the competition. And the prizes will be given away and sent out to you as soon as I get the winners' details. But back to sports, Simon. Pretty cool weekend. Lots to chat about. Lots of recap. It's nice to have some interesting things. Let's start off with the Cape Town Met, the WSB Cape Town Met now. Cormetta Ding came in nicely. I'm not sure if you caught the race. I did manage to catch the race.
Yes, I didn't catch it live actually, but I caught it shortly after the race was completed. Yeah, so obviously winning the last of it. Did he win the July or did he win the Met
last year? Yes, the first horse I think in 30 odd years or something like that to win the July and the Met.
Right.
Consecutively like.
Yeah, so he was the tournament favorite. So obviously punters who they might have got a bigger earlier price maybe a bit earlier on, but they would have got paid out at odds of about it closed at about 5-2, I think.
Yeah, and there were a couple of specials as well on the day, so there was a little bit of value. I didn't have a punt. I watched the race. To be honest, I didn't think it was the most exciting race. It wasn't the best Met that I've watched. It was. They kind of ran it at a canter. I feel like they weren't. I feel like they weren't pushing themselves as much. The rest of the horses in the field. It was do it again and Cormetta Ding running towards the end there, and I'm glad that the People's Horse won. But it's great to have the Met on. It was great to see people there. The fashion show, the crowds were there. It was a big event. Nice to see WSB getting involved. So credit to them where it's due. It's nice to see them trying to, revive horse racing in Cape Town.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, having the crowds back is a big plus. Just in terms of revenue for the industry, in terms of just getting people excited around horse racing in general, it's really nice to have people watching horse racing live again.
And then we had the Seville Sevens, Simon. I did not watch much. I have no clue what happened there, to be honest. I had a look at a couple of bets, but I didn't follow the final day of the tournament. So maybe you can give me a nice catch up.
Yeah, sure. The Blitzbokke just continued their dominance. That's now they actually beat Australia in the final, 33 points to 7, which makes it 6 straight gold medals in a row.
Crazy. No New Zealand.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, no New Zealand, but that's now the second longest winning streak in Sevens history. So let's see if they can push on and actually get that. That stat. The Aussies kept it quite tight in the first half. It was level at 7 points all, but then the Blitzbokke really started pressing in their defense, which was really cool to watch. They kind of, as soon as the Aussies got the ball, they just ran at them, in numbers, and that really forced fumbles and turnovers, and it kind of, it allowed the Blitzbokke to keep putting points on the board. It's quite crazy to think actually that this Sevens team there's only one remaining player. I can't remember off the top of my head now, but there's only one remaining player from the team that played in the 2018 World Cup, which was in San Francisco, which we performed well and we didn't win, but that was New Zealand won that. But it's quite crazy to think that there's only one remaining player there, and the team is that much better now. So I must say, I'm really looking forward to the Sevens World Cup, which is actually going to be in Cape Town, in South Africa.
I was about to ask, when is it going to come to Cape Town again?
Yeah, well, it's coming this year in September. So I really hope I can get my greasy palms on some of those tickets.
Yeah, you really hope that the government's going to let us come into the stadium. I think that's your first.
That's another good point. Yeah,
you can go anywhere else. You can do anything else, but you can't go watch a sports event.
We'll see. I think in a couple of weeks' time, there's the SONA is happening, the State of the Nation address. So hopefully we'll have some clarity there. But I know those tickets sold out in a matter of a day, I think, last year. So really want to really try my best to secure some of those tickets, because I think that'll be an awesome event.
Yeah, last time I remember I went to, it was Betway actually took me down to the Sevens, and it was amazing. It was such an experience. So I don't know if anyone from Betway is listening to this, but here's a little bit of a hint. They hooked us up with some box tickets. I ended up taking my partner and 2 friends.
Yes.
and it was incredible. We saw Monty there, a whole bunch of other players, and it was great rugby. It was an amazing experience. So that was really nice from Betway. That was a couple of years ago before COVID. So hopefully I can get something like that going on again. That would be fantastic. But yeah, so the Blitzbok are picking up a nice win there. Then the Oz Open, where Nadal broke a new record, or set a new record rather.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think this whole thing needs a bit of context. I think a lot of people who don't follow tennis very closely would have probably sort of watched that final on Sunday and thought, oh well, what's the big deal? Rafa Nadal, he's one of the best players of all time. He beats this little Russian guy who not many people probably would have heard of. But it's really not that simple. I mean, in September last year, as in 4 months ago, Nadal was on crutches. He had just undergone surgery on his foot. So he only started really training at sort of full tilt a few weeks before the Open. So for that reason, even when Djokovic dropped out of the tournament after all the drama with his visa and COVID regulations and so on, no one would have expected Nadal to rise to the occasion. I mean, that automatically made Medvedev the favorite, and I mean the odds are just so heavily stacked against Nadal winning this tournament. I mean, he's 35 years old, first of all, right? This is not his strongest surface. He's just come out of, as I said, a serious surgery. So it's just, and he's only won the Australian Open once before in 2009. So look, I mean, it was unbelievable. Somehow on Sunday, he found the gears to sort of come back from 2-0 down and beat the world number 2 in 5.5 hours, which of course also makes him the first ever player in men's tennis to reach 21 Grand Slam singles. So I can no doubt Novak Djokovic is probably having second thoughts about his decision to not get vaccinated and be barred from playing because he's now overtaken him. But what makes the victory over Medvedev even more impressive for me is that honestly, if I'm being hyper critical, I would say that Medvedev played 98% as well as he possibly could have. I mean, Medvedev, he said it himself in the press conference. There was not much he could do to stop him. So it really was an incredibly impressive performance from Nadal, and I really don't think he expected to win that. So it was great to see that.
Lots of the old anti-vaxxers are saying it's a hollow or pyrrhic victory for Nadal, and I'm just like, do you even watch tennis? You're just you're supporting Djokovic because he has a political or whatever sort of nonsense outlook that you have, whatever. You can't discount the win because Djokovic. What if Djokovic was knocked out in the quarterfinals or the semi-finals?
Exactly.
I mean,
absolutely.
Like anyway, it's
no. I mean, look. There's been a lot of controversy around the way that Medvedev reacted. During the trophy ceremony and so on. But you got to give him credit. I mean, he gave credit where credit's due to Nadal and said, look, he played his absolute best and he couldn't have done anything to win. I must say, I couldn't quite believe the way he did behave though. He sort of rolled his eyes and actually mouthed boring while I can't remember what her position is exactly, but a very important person in women in Australian tennis was basically telling him like, what a great job you've done to get this far and and he just it was very, very rude.
salty
But
boy.
his whole thing was that he was, which I can't disagree with, was that he was heckled basically that whole tournament. I mean, basically wherever Medvedev played, he was getting booed in between points. No one was cheering his points when he played really good points. Like I think that it doesn't help that matches go on to about 1 a.m. In Australia, and I think they do that so that makes it easier for a lot of people in other countries to watch. Yeah, because of course they're so far ahead in the time. So I think, look, inevitably there are a lot of people that are like 8-10 beers down, like by the time you get to a final set. But I must say I would like to see more fans getting kicked out for shouting during points and so on because it's just getting totally out of hand. In his press conference, Medvedev actually said that he would actually prefer to play in smaller tournaments where fans are kind of more respectful, and even if he gets paid less money, he would rather do that, and that's how strongly he feels about it.
I sympathize with this. It's not nice to have heckling like that, especially in tennis and also things like golf. Golf
100%
recently as well, but
they
managed to sort it.
Yeah, and it was quite a sort of touching story he told. He said like, my kind of dream of being here, and now I'm here, and I'm on the world's biggest stage, and I don't feel like I'm welcome. Which is
Yeah.
just not a good thing. And you can say, oh, he's being over the top, and it's part of the sport, and you have to be able to put up with that, but it's not fair.
No, especially if you're playing well and you're winning. It's not like
Yeah,
they're booing him because
exactly.
he's losing or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Simon, we had the what about the women's?
Y-
Before I
Yeah,
skip over that,
yeah, no, I'll chat very, very briefly about that. Look, Ash Barty, very, very worthy winner, completely dominant the entire tournament. Daniel Collins, who made it to the final to the final against her, did well to get there. I think she's the 24th seed. But just with regards to Ash Barty, honestly, I'll go out on a limb and say that I think she will be as successful as Serena Williams by the end of her career. She's 25 now, so she'll probably have another 10 years or so. And bar her being seriously injured, she'll obviously get a lot of. She's got a lot of tennis still to come. But I mean, she's not going to be as famous as her. But I honestly think that she will get, if not as many titles, if not more, as Serena Williams. I think she is going to be an absolutely dominant player. So I don't think I've ever seen anyone dominate a Grand Slam as Ash Barty has in this tournament. So yeah, let's see.
all right, then we had some NFL playoffs. We know who's going to be going
Hmm.
through to the Super Bowl. A couple of upsets there, Simon. We had an
Yeah.
upset rather. We had the Rams squeaking past the 49ers. I think the spread was about 3 there, so I think the bookies kind of
Yes.
nailed that
Three and a
one
half.
like on
Mm.
on the nose. Well done to them.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other one, the Chiefs going down surprisingly to the Bengals, 24-27 in overtime. I caught the highlights. I didn't catch the games. Well, I caught the highlights of the Chiefs game. I haven't watched the Rams highlights.
Yeah, I mean, look, we haven't talked NFL really for the entire season, but last week we kind of gave our thoughts about the NFC and AFC championship games, which you just mentioned. But yeah, I mean, now that we're kind of getting to the pointy end of the season, it's nice to just kind of have a look at this. But yeah, as you said, I mean, the Bengals. I said last week I thought that the Chiefs would definitely cover that spread. They didn't. They went to overtime, and the Bengals actually ended up nicking it by a field goal by 27 points to 24. So once again, I got burnt by the Chiefs, who I liked on the seven and a
Yeah,
half point spread. But yeah, the Bengals have been a complete surprise
I have.
package. I mean, they finished rock bottom in the 2020-2021 season, which was the season before last. And that year, how it works in NFL is that you get the first draft pick
Yeah,
if you
they
come
traded
bottom.
away
So
like several years of picks or something, didn't they? Or
they
was
did, yeah, and they got the LSU quarterback Joe Burrow, who is a fantastic player, but he's clearly matured very quickly into the man they need him to be. I mean, sure, it's only he had one sort of season where he did okay, not too badly. I mean, they still had a winning record, and now they've obviously got into the Super Bowl. So, I mean, it's really fantastic. In the other match, as you mentioned, I mean, I actually like the 49ers on the outright there. If I'd taken that three and
yeah,
a half,
I
I would
probably
have.
would have taken the 49ers as well.
Yeah, I mean they won 20. The Rams won 20 points to 17. I like the 49ers straight up, but obviously in retrospect that three and a half on the spread would have got me a winner. But anyway, in the end it was I went 0 for 2 in the NFL, but I suppose I couldn't really expect to tip up any winners when I've hardly been following all season. So I guess I guess you reap what you
Yeah,
sow.
yeah, that's true. I mean, you do need to put the hours in watching, and that's why I haven't been betting that much on it because I have not been following it. I'll have
Yeah.
the odd little bet here. I'll probably have a bet on the Super Bowl. Who do you fancy in the Super Bowl? You,
Yeah,
you
so
reckon
so
Rams?
sure. I mean, I have to fancy Rams. I mean, look, I think they were the third favorites to win
Yeah,
preseason. So they weren't the top dogs. I mean, the Chiefs were Chiefs, and I think there might have been the Packers that was
Packers. Yeah,
favored second. But so look, the Rams have got to be favorites there. So the Super Bowl's next Sunday, the 13th. So that'll be kind of early hours of Valentine's Day morning for us in South Africa. But we'll definitely preview that one and chat about some cool prop bets and so on. But I think I'm guessing that spread will probably be about 4.5, 5 points. It might be
yeah, five
more,
and a
but
half maybe. And
maybe 5.5. Yeah, something
they're
like
playing in
that.
LA as well, aren't they? They are playing in Los Angeles.
Is it a home final? It might be actually.
Let me have a quick look.
Yes.
For some reason I'm under that
It could
impression.
be.
Let's have a look here. There we go. Where is? Who's hosting? Okay, here we go. No, it looks like it's going to be in California, Inglewood, California. Yeah.
Okay, so it's. I mean, I don't think it's at the Rams Stadium. If I'm stand to be corrected, but yeah, it's somewhat of a home final for the Rams.
Yeah.
But yeah, I expect that spread. It's definitely not going to. I don't think it'll
I see.
be.
It's 3.5. Yeah. There we go.
Is it 3.5?
3.5.
Okay. Wow.
Opening
Okay.
line
That
3.5.
opening line 3.5.
I like that
I, I,
3.5.
you like the 3.5
Yeah.
to lay the points.
Yeah.
Yeah. I expect that will move in the direction of the Rams in the favor of the Rams, but who knows? It is a final. Bookies tend to be more conservative with the Super Bowl final. They don't like to lay big numbers.
No.
Often you see situations where teams have quite contrasting form or expectation going into the final, and then they lay a very small number, and you're kind of like, is this a trap?
Yeah.
they don't like giving either team too many points in the Super Bowl, which I mean I guess is understandable.
And then we've got some EPL coming up as well. It's been pretty quiet, international breaks and whatnot. And Newcastle making a bunch of signings. Arsenal getting rid of Aubameyang. A couple of interesting transfers coming in for Newcastle there. We've got, there were three big ones. Target, I think, was signed yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
There was a defender. I can't quite remember his name. And then we had, I think, another midfielder and a striker. And so it's spent quite a lot of money.
It's finally starting to happen, which I think is just it's a relief. I mean, we're kind of crawling out of that relegation zone, which is good. Obviously, it's still early days, but it's looking promising, which I think is testament to the fact that Newcastle are actually favourites for the first time I think in quite a while.
Yeah.
And that when Everton come to town, obviously Everton under Frank Lampard, so that should be quite an interesting
very
matchup.
Bad.
Actually.
Another relegation candidate there, Everton at the moment. I think
Yeah.
they'll escape relegation, but they are struggling at the moment. So
Yeah.
what do you think about that match? I like both teams to score there. I think there's going to be goals in that one.
Yeah, I mean, look, even after scraping a few points recently, I'm not sure I agree with Newcastle as favourites. I think that might be, to me, it's more of a coin flip.
It's almost a pick 'em. I mean, 2.55,
Yeah.
2.75.
It's almost.
Yeah.
It's almost. Obviously, I said I was quite surprised to see Newcastle favourites there, but it is very, very, very slight. But yeah, I think, with the sort of the background of both teams coming into this match, I think it should be quite an interesting one. But elsewhere on the card, one bet which stood out to me was Palace, which you can get about 2.17 away to Norwich. And I think that this line has a lot to do with the fact that Palace is not in the best form. They've only won one in their last five. But honestly, I think anything over evens for a win here against Norwich is good enough for me. So I quite like that price.
A little bit of Crystal Palace mix into the mix there. Not bad. Let me pop that into an accumulator. I think I might take a straight up Newcastle win just out of interest as well. I think hopefully things have turned around there. Then we've got City versus Brentford. That should be quite an interesting one as well, but just because of how these teams play. And both teams to score in that game, Simon, is 2.33.
Sure.
Look, City aren't exactly leaking goals, but Brentford can be relied on to concede a goal or two, and
I must say that
probably be relied on to potentially bag one.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're not really at the business end yet, but towards the back end of last season, I was winning lots of bets backing both teams to score when City were playing against a sort of fodder team, and they tend to do that towards the end of the season, especially if they're kind of on top, just leak goals, and they can always rely on scoring more than the opposition. A little bit like Liverpool in some ways. So you're often getting a bit of value on that both teams to score, where the team doesn't really feel under threat if they go down a goal. So I quite like that.
Yeah, I think the odds are very attractive on that one. Let me just make a nice little accumulator here with that. We'll take a small little bet. And then any other highlights that you want to talk about? And we've got Liverpool.
Yeah,
I
think Wolves versus Arsenal is an interesting one. Wolves have actually gone 6 games unbeaten, and in that 6 games they've only drawn 1. So they've won 5 and drawn 1 of the last 6, sitting comfortably now at 8th on the table, just 2 points behind the Gunners. So I must say, I think the Wolves are being slightly disrespected by this price. 2.2 for Arsenal. I think I'll happily take that double chance at 1.65 with Wolves, or even the draw no bet, which is which is a lot juicier at 2.36 for a bigger price. But I think getting on side with Wolves here is a good idea. I just think that I mean, Arsenal have been fine too. Don't get me wrong, but I think Wolves are playing very well, and I think this should be a lot more of a pick'em game than Arsenal being so reasonable favourites.
Yeah, I find it pretty hard to call this one. Like, I don't trust Arsenal right now. I need to see how they're going to play. I don't trust Wolves either. So I'm probably not going to get involved in that one. I think it could be a bit of a trap. I like the value on Wolves. I see the value on Wolves, but
Yeah.
I'm just not sure about Arsenal. I'm not sure where to kind of put them at the moment. I think a draw is probably going to be the most likely outcome for that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
not
what.
too much else interesting on the card, to be honest.
No, not really. I think, to be honest, in terms of just placement on the table and kind of highlight matches, I think that Wolves Arsenal one's probably the biggest of the bunch. But yeah, I must say I do fancy Palace there, and I think getting Wolves on side either with a draw no bet or double chance is a nice way to attack that one too.
And then we've got some Six Nations rugby, and on my Betway account, it's actually quite annoying. Years ago they did this thing where what you like to bet on is going to auto populate your home screen. So every time I log into Betway, I get rugby as the default, which is cool when there's rugby on, but when there hasn't been rugby on for the last
you always have to change it.
Yeah, last couple of months, and it doesn't show sevens; it only shows international stuff. So I keep having to go back to soccer, football. A little bit annoying, but yeah, we've got Ireland taking on Wales, we've got Scotland taking on England, and France taking on Italy. Yeah, pretty heavy favourites for most of those games. I think England is some value at 1.69. That's the only one that kind of stood out to me. France are going to smash Italy. I was just wondering if I can maybe sneak in one of those Italy halftime plus bets, but I haven't checked the handicap on that one.
Yeah, well, I think that let's look quickly first at the outright markets. So I think it's quite interesting. I mean, look, for the first time in a long time, France are actually favorites to win the Six Nations, and their odds are 4.2, and England are quite close behind them at 6.5. I must say I was quite interested that the bookies they aren't really giving Ireland a chance. At odds are 8-1, and then Wales and Scotland and Italy, basically been written off without a hope in hell. I must say, I immediately saw a bit of value in Ireland at 8-1. I mean, they're currently on an eight-match winning streak, which includes victories over New Zealand and England. So I think Ireland could be a bit of a dark horse here, especially in terms of those odds that are available. I mean, I fancy their chances about as much as England, to be completely honest, who I think are overpriced. So I think Ireland at 8-1 is definitely a decent shot.
Right. So you fancy them on the cap in their upcoming match?
Interestingly enough, I don't. As I said, as much as I fancy Ireland at the given odds, it's 14. They're sort of settling the lines at the moment, so it's hard to know exactly what it is. But it's basically about 2 converted tries. So it's about 14 points, which I think is actually a little big. So I'd be very reluctant to fire the trigger on that, but I do see the value in the outright there. So that, to be honest, is one of the games I'll definitely leave alone, is that Wales Ireland game in terms of the matches. But I think you're right. I think in terms of the most interesting looking fixture is definitely Scotland England. And Scotland will have the home advantage there at Murrayfield, and the handicaps here I didn't see anywhere, but I think it's about 3.5-4 points in favour of England. Which looks about right to me. So I'm not sure if there is maybe, I think you might be right about being a slight bit of value on England on the money line there. But it's hard, it is obviously an away game for them, and they haven't necessarily fared that well against Scotland away from home of late. So yeah, it's I think that's the most intriguing game on the lineup for sure.
Yeah, I fancy England there straight up. I think they're going to have enough. I mean, Scotland's given them a couple of scares recently, but I think they're going to have too much. And the teams have been on a break for a long time. There hasn't been too much rugby going on. So yeah, that's where my money's going. I'm going to slap that into my accumulator. And I'm not really going to say too much about the France-Italy game. gosh, what's the handicap there? It looks like it's in the high 20s.
Yeah, have a look at the half
27 and a
time and see.
half.
Okay, so I guess you're going to get about 14
13,
then.
yeah, maybe 13.
But,
You know how the books are. They're sneaky with that damn halftime handicaps. And they're not going to give us
yeah,
two tries. They'll probably give us 13 and a half, plus 13 and a half,
yeah.
plus 12 and a half. I think that might be a little too low. If I could get 14 and a half and the Italy plus halftime, I might take that just because it's worked out in the past. I'm not basing it on anything else other than that. So
Yeah.
I think France are going to absolutely hammer them. So that's where I'm going with that. Then we have some African Cup of Nations coming up as well. Another, once again, a tournament that I haven't been following too closely. I've been taking a couple bets that just haven't been working out. It's you think there's going to be no goals, then there are goals, and you think there's going to be goals, and there aren't any goals, and you go with both teams to score no, and then both teams score. It's just been it's so hard to predict.
It is tricky. It's been very tricky. I mean, it's very much luck box, I think. I think the talk of the weekend was probably Equatorial Guinea beating Mali on penalties, and they were quite big underdogs. And then Egypt also beat Morocco as underdogs, and that was in extra time. So two of the four semi-finalists, which we have now, were sort of surprise entries, I suppose.
Yeah.
And in those semi-finals, you have Burkina Faso versus Senegal. Senegal being the Afcon favorites. I must say, I think Senegal, before this tournament started, I think they would have been priced at about 1.4 to beat Burkina Faso. You can get 1.8 or even bigger here. So I think that's a pretty solid bet. And then Cameroon, Egypt. I mean, Cameroon hosting the tournaments, also 5-time champions. Egypt are in fact the only other team who's won Afcon more than them. So Egypt has won 7 times and Cameroon's won 5 times. So these are two very well decorated teams going into the semi-final. This one, I must say, I can't really call the match line there, but I think again, that sort of both teams not to score double.
I'm looking at that.
At 17-20 is probably where I'll go. And as you say, it is quite unpredictable. But I like Senegal 1.8. I think those odds are quite nice. And I think
1.85 on Betway. So
1.85. There you go.
I've got that in the old bet slip now. It's very juicy.
But yeah, so it's as I said, I also haven't had too much luck, but I think that Cameroon Egypt game should be an absolute cracker. I mean, those are two very strong teams that have been in very good form of late, so it should be a good one to watch.
I had Egypt. My Betway prediction was Egypt to win the tournament and Mo Salah to score 5 goals. So
okay,
that was my that Betway competition that they've.
Yes, and did Mo Salah get 5?
I haven't checked with the.
Okay.
I don't think he scored too many. To be honest,
I don't think he did. No.
No, but I'm hoping he can score a couple in the next couple of games if they can make it to the final.
Yeah.
But yeah, so lots of interesting sport coming up. I'm not sure what the best bets are, but I've added all of these into the bet slip. It makes quite a tasty bet. We've got Crystal Palace to beat Norwich. I've got Newcastle to beat Everton. I've got City, Brentford, both teams to score. I've got England to beat Scotland. Senegal to beat Burkina Faso. Cameroon versus Egypt, both teams to score no. And that's giving me 62.82. A 10 rand bet's going to return you almost $700 with the Betway 10% win boost.
Sure,
so I'm going to put that one through. It's going to be a heck of a long shot, but why not? You guys can see the code on screen now if you want to follow that bet. But hopefully we can pick up a very lucky winner with that one. But otherwise, I think I might get involved in that Senegal bet. I really like that. Maybe I don't know. I'll see if I can get in some live play or some in play. I mean, the matches are tomorrow, so
tomorrow and Thursday.
So not too much else going on. So I'll probably watch those 9:00 at night. Good time, and probably sit down for my first full kind of Afcon matches. But I think that pretty much covers all of the important upcoming sports. I don't think we've missed anything.
No, I don't. And we chatted about the Met, which is any other thing. So I think that's about it.
And then we've got the World Cup coming up, which for some reason I completely forgot that it was taking place in November. They've moved it to winter. For some reason, I was thinking it was going to be in the traditional June. So
it's
going to be a bit chaotic with the leagues.
It is. Yeah, look, I mean, the reason for the move is simply temperature, as far as I understand, just
Yes.
because that side of the world, obviously being in Qatar, is extremely hot. I mean, you're talking about averages of over 40 degrees at the traditional time when it would be hosted June, July. So that's just to, I suppose, keep the fans alive, I guess.
Top tip: don't give it to a country that you can't host it during the World Cup time. That's what I think FIFA should do. Why change
Mm,
it? Why are they bending their rules around for Qatar?
yeah.
It's terrible.
Mm.
Anyway, I'm just not a big fan of the whole Qatar. Like, I'll watch the World Cup, of course, and I'll be excited about it. But man, I'm really
Yeah, no,
bummed that
look,
it's
it's
getting
it's
held
it's
there.
for a number of different reasons, which we don't have to get into now. But it's there's a lot of
Yeah,
controversy
human
around the
rights
World Cup.
and just a whole
Hmm.
lot of money and corruption and all of that stuff. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, guys, we're going to call it there. Don't forget to tune into our live stream tomorrow night. We're going to be starting probably about 8:15. The jackpot race starts at 8:30. And I'll probably be giving away prizes every 30 minutes or so. We're going to see how it goes. So tune into that if you guys have nothing to do tomorrow night. But yeah, guys, thanks for tuning into the episode. We'll catch you in the next one. And hopefully you guys have some good luck with your bets this week. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.